Thank you, Andras. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be talking to you tonight and to our esteemed guests, GUR, who I've been a fan of for many, many years, and NIR, who I've been a fan of since I watched the web series last year. The Israeli Embassy is very proud to take part and support the Jewish-Israeli Film Festival in Budapest, and we're especially proud of the Israeli films that were screened this year during the festival in the past week and a half. We are very hopeful that next year, when all of this is behind us, we will be able to do the festival physically here in Budapest and the panels. In the meantime, we are very much looking forward and hopeful for a great cooperation between Israeli artists and Hungarian artists, filmmakers and others. And I wish you a great evening and a great discussion. I will be listening. Thank you very much.
Jó estét kívánunk! Erev Tov, Shalom! Mindenkit nagy szeretettel üdvözlünk itt az izraeli filmmaraton után, bár lehet, hogy máskor nézik ezt a videót, de az első adás mindenképp az izraeli filmmaraton után lesz látható, és egy nagyon érdekes és izgalmas beszélgetésnek nézünk elébe, amelyre 3 meghívott vendégem van. Itt legalábbis nekem balra Lányi Eszter található, aki a filmes válogató csapatban az izraeli filmekért felelős. Szia, Eszter!
Sziasztok!
És a 2 úriember a képernyőn GUR BENTWICH és NIR BERGER, akik izraeli rendezők, és az ő filmjeiket is láthatjuk ezen a 9. ZSIFI-n, amelynek része most ez a beszélgetés. NIR BERGER ő az Ittavége című animációs filmsorozatot rendezte, és GUR BENTWICH pedig a tortán, bocsánat, a magyar címen kellett gondolkoznom, pedig én adtam. A tortán című filmnek a rendezője és szereplője is. Most átváltunk angolra, aki tudja, kövesse minket angolul, aki pedig nem, annak megjelennek hamarosan a magyar feliratok. Good evening, Neil. Hi, GUR. How are you?
Excellent.
Thank you for agreeing and taking your time to be part of this session. Well, we have to thank you that you made the movies, because we really like them, and that's why we chose them to be part of the Hungarian Jewish and Israeli Film Festival. Not because of the price, it's completely because of the quality. We have to say that at the beginning. Just a quick warming up question. From where do you, where are you now?
Earth.
Both of you are in Israel, in Tel Aviv?
Yep, at least I am. Yeah.
I want to share with you a fun fact. I was, just to refresh my memory of your film, Peaches and Cream, I wanted to check on it online, and then it turns out that there is a nightclub in Budapest called Peaches and Cream. So I don't know if you've ever been to Budapest, but if you ever do come, I think you need to check it out. I'm not sure if it's your type of nightclub, but there is a nightclub called Peaches and Cream. So I actually, in a way, I must ask, like, why did you choose this title for your film?
It was kind of by mistake, actually. I thought I wanted it to be ironic, like saying hunky dory. You know, the guy is dying, his life is meaningless. So I thought saying the opposite would be nice. And so I said peaches and cream, but which is katsefet devanim in Hebrew. but it actually turned out that it's not a phrase, it's not a common phrase in Hebrew. It's only I say it, and I thought everybody says it, but I was wrong. I'm so self-centered. I never noticed nobody else uses this phrase. It's actually stolen from a song, Teisha Bakikar. It's just a line from a song which I adopted somewhere, I don't remember. And I used to say, if somebody asked me how's it going, I'd say, oh, it's going peaches and cream.
Okay.
But then it's actually, the name is not the best part of the film, I presume.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to say, because I think it's a great film, but it does create the notion of a different film altogether. But yeah. I do tell everyone to see. In a funny way, both of you have a dark humor in your films. Like both the animation we watched by NIR is also. Have you guys seen each other films? I mean, do you know each other? You don't know each other because we just figured it out.
Yeah, well, no, first time I see this face.
So I think we should watch each other's film.
Which is weird because Tel Aviv is a very small place, so you usually kind of recognize everybody. But I don't know where was he hiding all this time. We never drank beer in the same pub, for instance.
That's true, but I did study at the university that you teach, and I never had a class with you. So I saw your face. I did see your face. You didn't know I was seeing it.
Yeah, so we have passed by each other 7 years ago.
Yep.
So you have to go online. You have to go online for a Hungarian Jewish Israeli film festival in order to meet. But at least, you know, online you guys met.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to add, did you also do this short, which was in the Academy last year? Or I know your animation. I liked it a lot. But then there was this short in with iPhones. It was not you.
Yeah, that's you. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing film. What's it called again?
Touch.
Amazing. Best. Honestly, I vote for the best short this year. I don't know how it didn't win. It's a scandal.
No.
We should investigate it.
Esther, I think we can go. I mean, it's really good. The way it is.
Conversation.
I've had all I need to hear. This is great.
No, but it was really. You didn't screen it also in the festival?
No. Yeah.
Not yet.
You should put it online because it's an amazing film. It's also totally new. I think the language is like nothing else, and it works. It works extremely. It's amazing.
That's so lovely to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, no, Dead End is also very good. So I think you should watch this one.
No, I did watch. But to tell you the truth, I like better the touched one. I don't. Yeah, that's...
Fair enough. Okay. I'll take it.
Okay, so here Dead End is this post-apocalyptic film that you made about two kids who are looking for their brother.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about the idea, like where this idea comes from, why, what?
When you live in Israel in certain times, I think it's clear where the notion that everything might end at any second comes from. I think actually the original concept came when I was studying. It was around 2012, 2013, and there was the imminent threat of nuclear war every day because we were sure we were going to war with Iran, and that's where I had this comic writing course. And I wrote this idea. It wasn't intended to be animation, but I just put it in the drawer. And years later, when I had the opportunity to do animation, then I thought maybe that's the only way it could be done anyway.
But in a way, I think, the apocalyptic, future, the post, nuclear war, Jerusalem is just the backdrop, because I think, you're actually having a really good time at, showing a really, fun mirror to people. You mock veganism and you mock feminism and you mock, you pull out the Holocaust survivors, and then there's the robot, that turns into the Nazis. I mean, I don't know, you really trying to touch some of these sensitive spots. So I'm just thinking that this, if you want to tell a little bit more about, the idea, why and what, who are these two characters? What are they talking about?
Sure. Of course, it's not just me. It's a lot of really talented people. I co-wrote it with Ophir Sasson, who's kind of a frequent collaborator, and Yael Sinai, who produced the animation. A lot of animators were involved, and a lot of really talented people. I think what Ophir and I went for in writing, at least, was we were trying as much as possible to talk about actually hearing each other and about empathy whenever possible, and not to stick too close to just veganism or feminism or stuff like that, but to try and say something because we both are very sensitive to the fact that empathy is not going so strong right now. So I think at the end, every episode is in a way about that, I think.
The lack of empathy.
And psycho cows and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Gur, do you want to say something about the lack of empathy? Because your film is also, it's a very sensitive film about a character who might be you, or someone very similar to you, or someone who goes through life in a very similar way that you did or do. Is there anything you want to share with us about the background of your story or your film?
About how much is it me? I'm not
going to ask that because that would be a really silly question, but.
But in a way, it's like me on crack. Suri is much more extreme than I am, and that's why I grew the beard. So I could pass as a really crazy person, because in life I'm not that crazy. But I think it's based on me. But he is much more extreme than me. That I could say about a lot of things that happened to him happened to me too. What a coincidence. Like having a film that I felt like is a failure. My previous film. I think it's a nice one, but it wasn't accepted as well as I wished it would. So I took it kind of hard, I guess. And also the heart attack did happen to me, unfortunately. But they're not connected, by the way. It's not like the heart attack happened after the film failed. This, you shove things together when you script write. You make things kind of feel as if there's a cause and effect thing between them, but life is totally random. So I wish it had a cause and effect, but I never find any cause or any. So, but yeah, that's about him and me. And about empathy, I wanted to add, I don't feel that like there's a lack of empathy more than there always was. I think like we're most of all, like talking about my main man, we're most of all interested in ourselves. It's not like we are very bad people, but when you're very much interested in yourself, it doesn't leave much for the rest of the human race. But I thought like that the end of the movie is kind of fixing that in a way that at the end, like the empathy he does get from all those people surrounding him is what keeps him going and gives him a reason to live. So I thought I'm kind of making a hippie movie a bit about.
You made a very hippie movie, but also, watching it as a woman, it's also a very man film, like a male film, a male story for me to watch. It was, to me, I think it's a happy ending. You give hope to people in this film, or at least this is how I was reading it. But I also kind of read into it that you can do this because you have a woman next to you who will always sort of, open the door and welcome you back. Is that a good reading, or is that something that's not?
I think the woman, which by the way is Maya, which is.
I know. I did some background. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the woman in my life, but actually for almost 20 years now. Not like 2 years like Turi. because like I told you, he's more extreme than me. I have like a normal life, living with the same woman for almost 20 years and having kids and all that. But I think that it's not, if there's one thing I don't like about happy endings, which I know this one is happy and I'm very proud of it, but the happy endings that say, and then you find your love and then life is perfect, that's disgusting, I think, because I don't believe, and I love my woman very much, don't get me wrong, but the idea, the notion of, I think we got from American movies that once you find your love, everything else will fall into, that sucks, because it gave so many people, they found the love of their life and then they stayed together, and then they said, so why am I bored? And why do I still suffer?
Yeah.
What's wrong with, it's probably the wife, and then they kick her out because they were told that once they find a beautiful love, everything's going to be fine. So I don't believe that narrative so much. So I don't think the happy ending says now he found his love and everything is going to be fine. I think she's just a part of understanding there's more to life than the success of his movie. Mm-hmm. It's her, it's ignoring the posters being covered by a new film. It's the understanding that there's also life. It's not, we filmmakers, I think NIR probably would feel the same. We're so obsessed. We tend to forget life is not only about the films, the creations we're making, and that there's also a life outside worth living. And we don't have this kind of true balance. And it's about getting a perspective about your life in a bigger sense than just finding a woman.
Right,
which,
of course.
That's my explanation, but whatever works for you, or whatever.
It works for me. It's the film worked for me also. It doesn't, of course, as a woman or as a human being, obviously. You both directed different genres. You did feature films, and you did documentary, and NIR you did series, and so is there any if you want to compare the different genres, do you have any favorite genre? Do you you find first the story, or you want something to tell, and then to that you find the genre, or you start working with people and that kind of creates a story? How do you create? How does it work? And if you have anything that you're working on right now, any next?
Was that to me? I'm sorry.
To both of you. So please take the
Go ahead.
Okay. I think I choose. I'm kind of starting out. I don't get to choose my projects all that much, but I did have some opportunities when I did. I think it's the coincidence of an idea that you love and the opportunity, and then you go for it, and you need to have. Like when the opportunity came to do an animated web series, which never comes, but it was like we had the new Public Broadcasting Corporation and they were looking for it, and I just had a lot of ideas lying around, and so I just took one. So it wasn't that much of a choice. It was just waiting for an opportunity, I think. And right now we're working on some more Dead End. We have a special episode coming, and a dramedy series that I co-created for a con for the public broadcaster is coming up in March, hopefully. So yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Okay. And you, GUR? Is there anything you? Yeah.
No, I don't have a favorite genre. Like NIR said, whatever works. It counts. Like I made this documentary because I was after that movie, which I told you was kind of a failure, and they called me and asked if I have also, no, it wasn't Cannes. They asked me if I want to make a documentary, and I said, sure, why not? So they're all good. They're all fun. They're all nice. Now I'm planning to make an animation, feature film, I think, or maybe it will turn into a TV show. I hope it will turn into something, because I'm already writing for a year and I don't see much happening so far, but hopefully something's got to give sooner or later. And now I'm doing animation because I had enough of, I hate waking up early in the morning. which is part of the problem with making movies. And also all the stress on the set, which is too much for me after a heart attack, but even before it was way too much for me. And all this hassle with actors and DP, and is it gonna rain and all, and are the trucks, where are the trucks gonna park, and what's for dinner, and all this together is too much. So every time I make animation, I find myself enjoying life much more. If I talked before about the balance between life and art, when you're making animation, in a way you can still go on living. Because you go meet the animator, you have some nice idea, you're happy, and then you go back to life. But when you're making a movie and there's all the phone calls at the crisis in the night, it's more hectic. So I said, well, I made a nice one. I enjoyed it. And now I'm hoping to make something kind of more relaxed.
Okay, yeah, I mean, animation is obviously much more relaxed. It's much longer too, so it takes a longer time to kind of see your fruits. So that takes patience. Do you also want to tell a little bit about how film funding works in Israel? Is it an easy thing to get funding for your ideas? How does it work? And what are the budgets? Like, if you want to tell us, a little bit about the budget of your Peaches and Cream and also the Dead End, just to give an idea for the local audience. What's the what?
Nir goes.
Nir goes first.
Yeah, not a lot. I'm sure you had a bit more, but but knowing Israel, probably not that much more. But we did the whole 10 episodes of we have 45 minutes of animation. We did for approximately 150,000 euros, maybe a bit less, which it needed to cost twice as much. Like, everyone was working, no one was sleeping, basically. Everyone was working just because they had passion for the project, and there isn't a lot of fiction animation being done in Israel. So whenever there's the opportunity, all the animators who constantly have to do like commercial work or like gambling games, suddenly they have something like, this is what I signed up for. So they come and they work even if we don't have that high a budget.
And did you have this money from one source, or you had to go to different sources? How does it work?
We had Khan, the public broadcaster, and the rest came from a local fund, the Jerusalem Film Fund.
Okay. GUR, for you, your film?
My film was kind of expensive in Israeli standards, not extremely expensive, but mid-range. It's, I would say, like $800,000.
Okay.
3 million shekel. And if you asked about funding is always a nightmare, obviously, everywhere.
Yeah.
The only thing that keeps me happy is that I one time tried to make a movie in Los Angeles.
Oh.
And that was a disaster. And I realized the funding in the States is even much more of a nightmare than in Tel Aviv. And I came back to Israel, and now I'm very happy because I know what's it called. In LA, people go and drink coffee with you and say, no problem, we're going to give you the money tomorrow. And then they disappear, and it turned out they were just trying to make you buy them coffee. Yeah. So you buy a lot of strangers' coffee, and then they disappear. And at least in Israel, there's funds. But the truth is, the funds, like, it's the same. The same budget from the government has been for 20 years, and it's not much money. It's, and like every year, there's 200 more film students coming out of school. So the budget has stayed the same, but the number of people that are giving projects in is like been 10 or 100 times more since it started. So it's kind of crazy. I now gave the film, for a script, just for, development fund.
Yeah.
And I got a no, but there were only 3 approved out of 400, and that was only for developing. So this kind of is kind of weird, but and crazy. But my lucky break was this film was funded by private money from a rich, high-tech person who wanted the film being made.
Wow.
My very lucky break. It's very rare in Israel because obviously he knew he's not going to get his money back, because in Israel, cinema is not like a commercial thing that you can get rich off. And I'd also told him, if you want to make money of your money, don't invest it in my film. But he has enough money as it is. And I have this utopian idea that, like in the old days of the Renaissance, forgive me for comparing, but the best idea is rich people who enjoy art, giving money to artists, they enjoy their art, and then everybody's happy, because government funds is always kind of shady.
Yeah, it's a different, yeah.
Now when there's high tech, there's a lot of people with a lot of money, so I do expect them to make the move sooner or later.
And apparently you have very good connections, because, and I think Israel in a way is a good place for finding private money for anyone's dream. And it could be a foundation, or it could be a film. It's a good place to be, you know, if you know how to if you know how to shake the money tree. Here, and you know, in Hungary, I think it's much more difficult. It would be difficult. There's not much private money around.
Don't get me wrong. My lucky break was one-time break, and there's not many examples of that happening in Israel. It's not like every second film.
Yeah.
It's just one lucky break. It's not like a system or anything.
No, but there is, because I did some reading about it, and then there is a pretty substantial amount of money in the film industry in Israel that comes from private money, which is interesting. It was just an interesting. I can't tell you I don't remember the percentage, but it was a visible amount of money.
That surprises me.
Yeah. I'll send you by email. I have to find it, but
I would check, but I suspect it's mostly one person. I think it's mostly Moshe Edri. Yeah.
Okay. You might.
And that doesn't count so much.
I was just looking at a pie chart, and then it was a visible amount of money and percentage. Anyway, okay. Apart from money, where do you draw inspiration from? Like, what do you read? Do you listen to music? You take a good walk on the beach? What's inspiration for you? And yeah, I know it's a weird question, but you need to.
Go ahead, go.
Yeah.
First, okay, we sweep order now. Yeah, it used to be smoking pot.
Okay.
Most of my life, but since I had a heart attack, I stopped smoking pot, and then I was very worried, because I thought there goes the end of my career. Where am I gonna get inspiration from? Because I never managed to write anything before I started smoking pot. I was hyperactive or whatever in school and high school. I never wrote homework, nothing. I couldn't sit down and write. So I was very happy. I met grass smoking, but after I stopped smoking, I realized that it's more or less the same without. I don't know if it inspires everybody but. So I went into meditation. I do meditation if I want to hear because it works a bit the same. If you want to hear your brain think, for me, it was either smoking pot, and then I went into meditation, which is also a way of hearing what your mind is saying to you. Because otherwise, I don't know about your minds, mine just goes places, but I don't hear what it says. So maybe I have amazing ideas, but I don't know, I never hear them. So I have to have kind of something to listen to. So this is my new tactic.
So you do meditation and then you take notes, or you just remember them?
Yeah, it's terrible. I go to meditation retreats. It really sucks because everybody's trying to be enlightened, right? And I sit with my notebook, and every time I have a good idea, I write it down and keep going meditation. So I'm kind of an undercover spy in the retreats.
You're a functional meditator. You just.
Yeah, I don't know if Buddha would accept me if
he would.
But whatever works, right? So.
Exactly. And NIR, for you?
I also do meditation for different, but I think I'm coming from the other end than you go. I'm coming from so anxious all the time that I need the meditation to quiet like a different voice, like the one that's saying everything, you're going to die in a minute, like everything is ending. So I do, but I think most of my ideas actually, I find that the best thing is doing the dishes. I've started like it used to be the shower, but now also like with COVID and stuff, there's not so many reasons to take a shower anymore. So I just do the dishes all the time. And I think that having something to do helps me get my ideas, and anger, of course, and being angry at everything happening in the world. That was for Dead End specifically. Ophir and I are both very angry people, but holding it inside all the time. So this is our way.
Okay, releasing anger. And then, okay, so for you, again, it's interesting because both of you said that you need to kind of turn inside and listen to your own voices, or you just kind of your own thought process. But I was, I was thinking that maybe inspiration could come from something from the outside, like from the outside world, that there's, that I go to concert but today we don't do anything. I mean, I don't know if you're in lockdown, but we're in lockdown. So that's a bit more difficult, but you could have said, but it's interesting that both of you kind of said something very mundane, that you wash the dishes and think, and then you do meditation and secretly take notes. So that's it's very interesting.
I just would like to add something, and maybe it will turn out as a question at the end, that I think in the 70s when Peter Brook visited Israel and saw the life in Israel, and it was in the 70s, he said that, Israeli theater don't have a chance because the life is so thick, the reality is so strong that you cannot do anything more interesting on stage than what you see on the streets. I think he was wrong at the end, and he is not usually. Peter Brook is not wrong at all. But it's interesting that both of you directors are telling me that you need some kind of relax. You need your own time. You need to go to your own place and find inspiration in you. While most of the people outside Israel thinks that, in Israel, everything is katzefet veduvdavanim, or everything is honey and apple and whatever, and doesn't matter where do you look, there's a story from the Tanakh, or you have just a story from whatever, and you just have to write it down, or you just have to film it. And it seems like it's exactly the opposite. How do you cope with the reality you live in, which is quite complex and not easy at all? And I'm really talking about a little, if it's possible, about politics in Israel.
This was a question, I think. Andres asked the question. It's just.
I'm waiting for Nir first. I'm waiting for Nir.
No, go ahead, please.
Okay, so I'll start.
Thank you.
I think both of us, when we said he needs to wash the dishes and I need to meditate, we go into our mind, but we take out from the mind experiences and thoughts we had meeting with life. Like, okay, it's not like it's a private mind. It's like my film is all about the director who gets a heart attack and all that, which happened to me, and probably he has a lot of his life in his movies too. And I think life in Israel is kind of hectic and very energetic. I wouldn't go into politics. Not that I care. Not that I mind, just because my films are not involved in politics in that way. Of course, you could say everything is political. So I guess my films are also political in the sense that they're ignoring the what would I say, like in film festivals and in Netflix and everywhere outside Israel, what is expected from Israeli movies is to give them the, give us the ethnic, give us some Orthodox Jews meeting a Palestinian girl and having two gay black people. They want us to sell them all the bullshit they think about us, right? But I don't feel like doing that, because this is not my life, okay? I'm not an Orthodox Jew, and I'm not extremely political, and I'm not a Palestinian. You can say I'm ignoring the situation, but I'm living my life, right? So that's why there's not the classic politics in my movies, because they're not in my life either. And just one more thought before we move into NIR. About the 2 years I was in LA, when I tried to write there, and there it's not about political, it's about life. Life there is so unmessy in a way. When you live in LA and you're staying in your car, and from your car you move to your house, and there's not enough friction between you and the people around you. I wrote the script, which was terrible, because I had no friction with life. And the only person I was talking to was myself and my laptop. And if you notice, a lot of movies that take place in LA are about people and their relationship with their computers and the laptop. And because there's no friction, I think. So what I'm trying to say is that Israel, for me, it's not a place about politics, which is what maybe the rest of the world is expecting. But it is a place where the friction with the rest of the people is very, very noticeable. And this friction gives you energy for making movies, which I think makes Israeli cinema and TV lately very, very full of action and full of very good stuff.
Yes.
It's friction and not the politics. That's what I'm trying to say. And I rest my case.
NIR, you go.
Tough to follow up. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
But I agree. It's like I don't write very political as well, because like the cliche, you need to write what you know, or at the very least know what you write. And I'm not. I do have, like, Dead End has some criticism in it, but it's not necessarily the kind of politics that, like Gul said, festivals might expect. It's something more internal about our own day-to-day, which is what I experience. I did get to do like more satire recently, but it's usually, I agree, it's not I wouldn't presume to write about a lot of the subjects that we might be expected to write. Exactly right.
Yeah, but your animation does have some sort of a political tone in a way, but in a, it's kind of a political tone that can be understood anywhere. But some of the things I really loved about it, like the small nuances, the gender fluid milk, and some of the, and the dolphin with the machine gun, like some of these things that work really well, like also outside of Israel. But I do think
it sounds like you're describing a dream that you had. Sorry.
Exactly, and or a conversation with a friend when we criticize, our life here. It's exactly the same, but obviously there it's a little more edgy. Yeah. By the way, I also must add concerning your film, Dead End, that it did remind me of the Happy Tree Friends. Do you know that one? That's the Happy Tree Friends. Okay, all right. I needed to say that, because the moment, like the instant I started to watch this, I was like, oh my God, this is sweet and very, very, very vicious, and I like that. So.
Yeah, we grew up like my generation, like everyone involved. We were almost like all of us grew up just alongside like South Park and stuff like that. So yeah. It's very much in our DNA. Like the reason I know the producer, we know each other since we were 12, and she was the only other girl in class who knew South Park when it was first airing besides me. So we connected over that, and we just kept in touch 20 years later. So cool. It's all there.
Very nice.
There's one, if I may, Esther, can? Yes, okay. just the other part of the question is how much do you feel that you have to paint with really strong colors because of the extremity of the life in Israel, or I mean, you have an extreme character, Gur, in your movie, and the whole situation in your animation movie is very extreme. So how much do you feel that if I just want to say something about life, that won't be interesting, or I have to find a very extreme situation? And it's also the same, my little experience with actors in Israel, when I also learn in the University of Tel Aviv. All the time when I work with actors, I have to tell them, I mean, just I need less and I need less. And they always told me, no, you just coming from Europe, but here it's, you know, you have to act like you are acting. And I was like, less is enough for me, and I hope it's going to be enough for the audience. So do you feel that it's always have to be something really extreme, or not at all? Nir, you go first.
Okay.
Because you don't have actors in the movie, just.
Oh no, they're there. It's just split in animation, because in animation the acting is split into the voice acting and the actual animation, which is also kind of acting. Well, yeah, I don't know if I'm sure we have different answers to that, but I'm just not a very subtle person. I just enjoy grotesque kind of situations. That's just my taste. I don't think it's because I'm in Israel necessarily, but it's possible that our level of I don't know, the sensibility is sort of high because it's very intense to live here. But I think I've always found extremes to be funnier, and also especially when you do comedy, you have to surprise, if not shock, a little. Yeah, I think it's just a taste thing for me. Go ahead.
I'm not sure what to answer. That's why I'm quiet, because I don't know what to say.
Okay.
I don't think it's a matter of. I know Israelis are loud when they talk. Yeah, that's true. I know for myself I'm very loud, but I don't think that it's so noisy around that I have to make more noise in my movie to fight the surroundings. This is not where I come from. It's actually, this movie is a bit louder because I said this time I wanted to be kind of no rest. This I made kind of on purpose. I said it's going to start and it's never going to stop, because he's in stress and in a heart attack and so on purpose the filming is, or the story is kind of restless. Mm-hmm. But acting wise, I think I'm a director that believes in the low key, not low key, people can shout, but not over dramatic. I think less. I think a lot of them are non-actors and stuff. I would never go to a kind of overacting, apart from my character, which is a bit over the top there. But it's the rest are kind of very doing less than more. I think this is usually my style, but I'm not the one to say, because I'm not objective, obviously.
Yeah. No, and as a viewer, I must say that's, yeah, you both, like, less is more. It works. Whatever you do, it works. Gur, you said once in an interview, I don't know, or just somehow I found this quotation from you, that no one forced me to make movies, and I'm not complaining. Quite the contrary, I feel lucky. That's something that you said. I see your face. Yeah. Okay. So my question to both of you actually is, you know, if you like, what would you be if you weren't a filmmaker? Would there be another career for you out there in this universe, or this is it?
You.
Oh God. I honestly tried. I was very much like a film geek growing up. And then I went to study film in high school and stuff like that. But after the army, I sort of decided I'll try to be a grown-up, and I went to study law. and it just didn't last. I moved to Jerusalem. I did the whole thing, and I tried, and I just stopped attending at some point, and quit and went to film school again because I don't know. It's not the thrill of when something works. It's just so difficult to ignore, even if it's a total nightmare some of the rest of the days when it doesn't work. But I honestly did try. I even signed up like after finishing the degree when it was really difficult to get financing for the film that I was trying to make. I signed up for a psychology like 3 times to study psychology because I thought I was going to do that. But I always found myself like canceling in the last minute to give it another shot in making movies. I guess
making movies is like a group therapy for all of us. So you're actually doing psychology.
It's in Hebrew we say it's a srita. You know, it's like you can't run away from it, I think.
Okay, good for you.
I can tell you my experience that when I went to university, I went kind of by mistake or out of sheer boredom, and I wasn't sure what I was going to study. But so I thought I was going to study anthropology because I was in Africa and I met all those crazy tribes and stuff. And then when I went in, she asked me, the lady, do I want to do a dual course kind of thing? I said, yeah, sure, why not? 2 is better than 1. And so she said, what do you want to do as your second one? I said, what have you got? And she said, also cinema. I said, yeah, I'll do that. So why am I saying all this story? Because the first year I was doing anthropology and movie making. And at the end of the year in anthropology, I wrote this thesis, whatever you call it, which was funny and nice. I followed those crazy basketball players who were playing in the rain, and I made this whole theory and stuff, and it came out to be kind of a work, a 20-page work. And the guy, the doctor, the how do you call it, the teacher of the course, gave me a high grade. And then they shoved it in the library of the university, along with 3 million more books and theses which are there. And I believe that after the professor that read it, nobody's ever going to read it in his life. And then 2 weeks later, there was the screening of the end of the year movies, just a building away in Mexico. That's the name of the cinema building. And there I screened my movie, and there were 300 people, and they were all laughing and clapping. So it was very easy choice between hearing 300 people laughing and when you shoving your faces in along with. So I realized I much rather do this. So I left anthropology and I went into full-time movie.
Okay, so you need the audience. But actually, this is interesting what you just said, because I'm going to ask you, do you guys still go to the movies? Do you, I mean, not now again, because obviously we can't, but like, do you still, or you watch online, you're watching your cell phone, on your computer, or do you still enjoy going out to the movies? Whoever wants to go first.
Go ahead.
I do.
You first, you know the deal.
There's not many things I love more than going to the movies. I think until COVID, most of my life a week didn't pass when I didn't go, and I miss it very, very deeply. It's not the same. I'm very fearful. I know there's a lot to be fearful right now, but I'm very fearful that theaters won't come back to what they used to be before. Because it's such a huge part of the experience for me.
Yeah, I agree. GUR, for you?
On the one hand, I very much prefer people watching my movies in the cinema. Mm-hmm. I know it's 10 times, they enjoy the film 10 times more, and I really try to make as many watch it in the cinema and not at home. On the other hand, as for myself, I'm afraid to say I see very few films in the cinema. You know, the usual excuses like 3 kids and so complicated with the babysitter and all that. But I think that even before the COVID, it was inevitable. We're seeing a slow process of cinema gradually. I'm not saying disappearing, but kind of getting to be a less and less relevant form of watching movies. I'm not saying films are going to disappear, but theaters were now making sense commercially also before the COVID. They were working for, how do you call it, גיבורי על, superhero movies. And
yeah,
for,
the Marvel movies, yeah.
And for all pensioner movies. But the rest of the audience stopped watching movies in the cinemas a while ago, before the COVID. We don't need to blame the COVID, it just kind of made it happen faster. But when everybody's got a 50-inch cinema at home with a surround system, and he can download the movie legally or not, I think that's the way cinema is going, with or without us and COVID. And we shouldn't be too sad about it. You know, life is full of changes and things come and go, and what can we do?
I don't think
records have been gone. Many things have been gone.
No, but I think, you know, with cinema, I don't think cinema is going to be gone, but maybe it's going to be more like, I don't know, going to the opera in Europe. It's a very special thing, you know, it's going to change. And obviously you need to seek out the films you're interested in. And art house cinema is in trouble today anyway. So, and it's all over the world. But I think, you know, if you want your viewers to go to see a film in the cinema, we need to go out for each other and go and see each other's films in the cinema.
That's what, by the way, that's my theory. That's what's happening. We all go to see premieres of friends of ours. So I only go to premieres. I don't want to sound very kind of important, I think. But the only time I go and watch films is in a premiere, because I know the persons and they invite me, and I also like the free wine you get in the beginning and the end. And schnoozing and talking, which is I like talking too, but this is the only time I watch films in premieres. So I think that, like you said, like in opera, if you only go to those places where there's other people and you're, because the rest of the just watching a movie you could do at home.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you have a piece of paper in front of you, but I want to try something, both of you, and I just don't want you to say something and then the other one thinking the same. But I would really like to know what Tel Aviv means to you. If you want to put down one word on a piece of paper, what Tel Aviv means to you. And yeah, I would be interested to see both of you. It's homework.
Homework, yeah.
Yeah.
If I've got it. I'm good. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No pen?
Ah. I am a bad painter. I'm ready.
Okay.
Don't copy.
I don't have a good answer to this. Go ahead. You go first.
I think any answer is good. I would really like to know. Okay. No, you go for you go same time.
Here goes
my God. Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh, is this making
Addictive mess and a heart. Okay. That's great. I mean, I think, you know, in a funny way, and maybe this is how we could close this conversation. You both gave us an answer that is like your films, honestly. As someone who watched it, and we just ran a really nice full circle. And I hate that we have COVID and you're not in Budapest and we didn't have this conversation live. That's a shame. And then maybe one day we'll do this again. Maybe your next film will be, you know, screened at this festival, and then you'll be here in person, and we go check out Peaches and Cream in Budapest. And thank you very much. This was wonderful.
Thank
and
you.
good luck with your work, and hope to see you.
Yep.
And hope to see your films.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.